But with all of the snow accumulation and the wind and more snow to come, the tent is just not able to handle the weight of it.
This is Greg Locke. Most of you are probably familiar with him. If not, he's a MAGA preacher, hate pastor, mega church guy, you know, that kind of person. Anyway, he has a church building that isn't really a building. It's a gigantic tent. He just built a brand new tent. He'd had a new one constructed. It used to be like a circus tent. He just fundraised $500,000 from his church to buy a brand new semi-permanent structure that is like a tent, basically. $500,000 for this thing. And there was a little bit of a snowstorm recently. He lives in Mount Juliet, Tennessee, near Nashville. The snowstorm took his tent down. Crazy. You know, some preachers may take this as a sign. Isn't this like an act of God? Isn't that what they call it in the insurance paperwork or whatever? Sadly, you know, no one died in this, so I feel I can have a good laugh at this, right? If somebody died or was injured or something, I'd feel a little bit differently, but I feel I can chuckle in good conscience. So he didn't have insurance on his tent. He had insurance on like his guitars and his screen that he has up behind him and stuff on the equipment, not on the tent. Again, some might say, you know, God's trying to send you a message. Just laying it down for you. Now, I don't believe in any of that stuff. I'm just saying, some might say. Anyway, let's listen to him talk about how badly his tent was destroyed, basically.
I want to let you guys know that the tent has withstood a grave amount of damage. But with all of the snow accumulation and the wind and more snow to come, the tent is just not able to handle the weight of it. This is inside the tent, which means
it's destroyed.
There is a giant, see all that snow coming in there? A giant amount of snow that is on top of the tent, and so what happened is the walls over here have buckled at a complete like 45-degree angle.
You know what? If I pay $500,000 for a tent, I expect it to stand up a little bit better than that. I'd be asking for my money back. He just bought it like 6 months ago or something. I remember covering it at the time. I don't know if he can get his money back or not. Probably not, right? It's a $500,000 tent. He's got about $150,000 worth of damage in it. I might demand that they fix it or something. I might like throw a real fit until they do something about it. Quick interjection, this won't take long. If you like what I do, I'd appreciate it if you watch the video to the end. YouTube bases video reach off of watch time, so watching even an extra minute makes the video go further. Liking and subscribing goes a long way too. Finally, it would be awesome if you guys checked out my Patreon. All links are in the description, of course. Okay, back to the video.
And then all of our framing is being bent from the inside.
That is wild.
And then
Well, look, he's got ductwork in there too. I guess he had like air conditioning and stuff. Wow.
As you can see, the whole tent is just beginning to implode. The integrity of the structure is worthless. Insurance pretty much, will cover damages of equipment that we lose, but it's not going to do anything with the tent. And we're probably, just to get fixed, everything that I'm looking at right now is going to be an astronomical amount of money. I mean, we're talking probably $150,000.
I don't think that's really astronomical to Greg Locke. He is a millionaire, absolutely, and beyond a shadow of a doubt, he is a millionaire. I mean, just in book sales alone, he's probably made $1 million. I mean, how many book sales has he gotten? He's got like 2 million subbies on Facebook or something like that, right? Or maybe 1 million subbies. If he sells books to only 5% of his Facebook audience, 5%, he's looking at 100,000 book sales. If he just sells to 500,000 people, say $20 per book, he's looking at $2 million. He's looking at $2 million from book sales, just from 5% of his audience. He's filthy rich. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure everybody in his tent, at the very least, has purchased his book, and that's like 1,000 people or something. So anyway, he's got the money to fix it. I'm kind of disgusted by the fact that he fundraised with his church for that $500,000 and then bought something so flimsy and terrible as this.
Pray for the haters that are going to rejoice over
haters.
This mild setback.
Is that us? Are we rejoicing? I'm just glad no one got hurt. I don't want anybody to get hurt. But I feel like, Greg Locke should absolutely be thinking about whether or not this is a message, and I'm kind of surprised that he's not. Disturbingly, no one's gotten hurt yet so far, but watch this. This one came out on January 17th. The previous one was just a few days before this, mid-January 2024.
Something. Sunday morning, unless God says different.
Bro, back up off that microphone. The gain is through the roof.
It's different. Everybody say God, unless God says different. We will be under that tent at 2060 Old Lebanon Dirt Road, Mount Juliet, Tennessee, no matter what these people are saying, no matter how many inspectors are trying to come against us, no matter
how many inspectors try to come against you. Greg, do you think inspectors are just coming in trying to make his life difficult because they don't like him? You think the inspectors are sitting around a table saying, how can we really mess with this guy's life? Let's make it miserable for him. Let's tell him the tent's too dangerous for people to go in, but it's really not. Just to mess with him. Is that what he's like imagining right now? The inspectors are there for a reason, Greg. They're there to make sure that nobody gets hurt.
Are trying to come against us, no matter how many fines they are threatening us with. I'm telling you right now, they'll roll the National Guard up in that parking lot before we roll up that tent and we give up.
There's no tent to roll up, Greg. This is insane. He's seriously going to get somebody hurt. Sadly, he's not stopping. He's going to do this. He's going to be in this tent that has zero structural integrity. It's just falling in right now on people. The real question is, what do you do? What do you do? I'll tell you what I'd do if I were Greg Locke. This is how I would resolve this problem. It's pretty cold out right now, right? Especially in Tennessee. So something that I've seen around New York City is they have these kind of outdoor structures that are like in the parking lane on streets because of COVID. They originally erected these structures. So they have like wooden structures, plastic roofs, and they're open on one side. In some cases, they're just tables with umbrellas. And in the winter, they connect these these heaters, super powerful heaters that like glow orange and heat you up from below. You can sit in 20-degree weather under one of these heaters that hangs from an umbrella, and you're perfectly warm. So what I'd do if I was Greg is I would buy, I don't know, how many people does he have at his church? 1,000? I'm not even sure. He used to have 600. I think it's probably up to 1,000 now. Say you've got tables that will hold 5 people each, right? You get 200 tables, 200 large umbrellas that cover the tables to keep out rain or snow, keep out the sun, and connect those heaters to the top of the umbrellas, and boom, just like that. You don't need a tent. You don't need anything. You stand outside and you do it. This is what he should have done for COVID, honestly. You know what he was doing during the COVID era instead of trying to keep people safe? He's doing exactly what he's doing now, putting his church in danger.
We have a big old sign that says, this is a mask-free church. We won't even let you wear a mask on our church campus.
So what was he doing during COVID to prevent people from getting sick? Absolutely nothing. He set out to get people sick by banning masks. This was, by the way, early August 2021, so about 6 months after COVID really started spreading through the U.S. and it started being taken seriously.
We celebrate faith over fear because God's not given us the spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind.
He has no fear, right? That's why he carries his gun everywhere with him.
So I said, okay. I said, we're going to have to go ahead and deal with this right now. Since the media's here, since they're trying to shut us down, they need to know that we are both biblical and constitutional. So I said, we so believe in our First Amendment right to gather that if you show up and you impede on our First Amendment right to worship, we gonna meet you at the door with our Second Amendment right, because we are not closing our church because the government told us to.
So stupid. So deeply stupid. Nobody told him to close his church at any point. Nobody told anybody to close any churches during COVID. Nobody. You know what they said? At worst, local municipalities said to prevent the spread through our little communities, we're asking people to either hold their church services on Zoom, hold them in person but outside, or ideally, maybe if you want, spread the chairs out 6 feet. Space them out 6 feet, have everybody wear masks and hand sanitizer at the door, checking people's temperatures. There were multiple options, and 2 of those options didn't even include staying home. They included meeting in person. He didn't do any of it. He insisted on getting people killed. And what's he doing now? The exact same thing he was doing then. Not giving a shit about his congregation or their well-being. Putting them in danger. Because he wants to. Put them under a tent. Yeah, good idea. Instead of just putting some umbrellas out there with some heaters, put them under a tent that is literally falling right now.
Now, when God wants to give us a building, God will give us a building. But until then, we got what?
No, you don't. It fell apart. God seems to have made his feelings pretty clear on this. God doesn't want you to have a building, apparently. And he's so fervent about making sure you don't have a building that he's going to tear down the one you did have. How does it get clearer? Funny enough, this is not the first act of God, if you will, that, I almost said Donald Trump, that Greg Locke's church has gone through. This is mid-December 2021. So about 10, 11 months after COVID came to the U.S. and was, people started taking it seriously again. 2021, he had another incident very similar to this one. Again, canvas tent.
The tent didn't fare so well, and so our security was there. They've taken some pictures. My wife's been over there. Some of our staff are already on the way.
This one was from a tornado. A tornado swept through his rural area in Tennessee. 2 acts of God in just a few years. That's weird, right? Anybody else think that's weird? I mean, like I said, I don't believe in any of this. I'm just saying, if I did, I think I might be taking this as a message.
Some men that help work on our tent that are heading that way now to assess the situation. It blew down the entire right side, which you have to understand, in a tent that large, the canvas is so heavy that what that did is then that pulled down the weight of the trussing and the stage.
The dude had $500,000 that he put into erecting this gigantic tent recently. $500,000, okay? Let me tell you what Jehovah's Witnesses do when they want to build a new, Kingdom Hall or whatever. The society will sometimes provide the land and sometimes provide the building materials. Sometimes they will be provided by people in the congregation, but they'll get 100 people, or hell, even 70 people. Average congregation size for Jehovah's Witnesses, 72 people. So they'll get all the people in the congregation together. They'll bring them to the site of the land, and they'll bring the materials there and everything. 72 people will start building on Friday, and by Monday morning, they're putting up the wallpaper. Seriously. It's called a quick build. I've taken part. They are nothing if not industrious people. Jehovah's Witnesses are encouraged to get into trade work. Who knows? Maybe for that reason. Because then it gets deeded over to the Watchtower Society, gets added to their assets that they can get loans from and stuff like that. Anyways, how many people does Greg have? 600, 700, 800, 1,000, 2,000? I don't know. If Jehovah's Witnesses can do it in 3 days, how long would it take 1,000 people to get together and do this? They could probably do it in a weekend. Hell, worst case, they could do it in a week. And what did Greg do instead? He took $500,000 and lit it on fire. Good job, Greg.
Of course, on the trussing was all of our speakers and our lighting and all of our gear and our rigging. It ripped through the screens, the 18-foot screens that we have.
Jesus, dude. How much are 18-foot screens, I wonder? Let me see if I can find out. Purchase 18-foot screens. I mean, Greg Locke showed up to Times Square not that long ago and held a full-blown revival in Times Square for a few hours. How much did that cost him? Millions, right? It must have cost him millions of dollars. So I'm sorry, I don't have much sympathy for him here. In fact, I have zero sympathy. A movie projector screen would definitely be preferable, probably. It'd be a lot less expensive. Okay, what I'm seeing, LED video wall, 18 foot. 18 feet by 10 feet. $20,000. Wow. $20,000. That is crazy. That is crazy money. Anyways, at least that 20 grand is going to be covered by insurance. Jesus, dude.
The stage was pretty much destroyed. The backdrop, the drum kit, all of that. And so
all of those things he just listed are probably add up to 50, 60,000 combined, I would guess.
I'm not sure of the situation with the chairs. We could only see so much, and I told my wife to get out of the tent. You know, don't stay in there, because I don't want you to have a tent fall on you.
Oh, well, that's an interesting thing for him to have said a couple of years ago when his tent fell before. And now what is he saying exactly?
Everybody say God, unless God says different. We will be under that tent at 2060 Old Lebanon Dirt Road, Mount Juliet, Tennessee, no matter what these people are saying, no matter how many inspectors are trying to come against us.
Curious. He recognized how deeply dangerous it was a few years ago when his wife was under the tent, but for some reason, he doesn't seem to get it this time around. This dude is a joke. I want to take a quick glance at the Friendly Atheist website. This is Hemant Mehta's blog. It's a Substack, friendlyatheist.com if you want to take a look at it. That's where I got these clips, by the way. Hemant Mehta is absolutely awesome. Check his work out if you haven't seen him before. But let's just kind of look through this article that he wrote about it. On Monday, Christian hate preacher Greg Locke announced that the nasty weather, more than 7 inches of snow, had destroyed the circus tent he calls Global Vision Bible Church. The tent suffered a grave amount of damage, quote unquote, he explained in between coughs. A lot of the snow that hit Mount Juliet, Tennessee, sat atop the structure, causing it to sag, then cave under the weight. 7 inches of snow? That's it? It seems like it would take more than 7 inches to destroy a tent, right? I mean, I've had 7 inches of snow in West Virginia multiple times. How is it that this tent can't withstand 7 inches of snow? I mean, that's a lot of snow, granted, but it's not that much that it should tear down a semi-permanent structure. He needs a permanent structure. He needs a building if he wants to keep doing this. He's lighting money on fire every time he builds a new tent. I believe there's a stop work order on his property right now. I'm not sure if that's still active or if it's a past order that's been lifted or what, but he was banned not long ago from building on his property. So he has to pay like massive fines, being sued by the county right now over it and everything. So I don't know. Anyways, Locke noted that his insurance would likely cover any equipment damage, but fixing the structure itself would have to come out of pocket. He estimated the cost at about 150 grand. He's got it. I don't want to hear it. If he's going to sit here and claim that he doesn't have it, it's only to get people to donate. That's it. I'm not sure what he expected in the face of bad weather. The tent was set up in May of 2020 in response to COVID restrictions. Was it May? I guess it was, yeah. No. This is a new tent. Hemant Mehta might be unaware of this. I need to message him and tell him. Yeah, this is a new tent. I'll send him a message. It never bothered Locke that his COVID denial arguably led to the early death of at least one church member. This is also the same Locke who, when asked by CNN to define what a pandemic was, couldn't do it. In 2021, there was a tornado that wiped out his tent. You'd think that would have been a wake-up call to rebuild with the future in mind, but no. He merely put a metaphorical bandage on the tent whenever he needed to. Last year, for example, in response to noise complaints, he claimed to put up another, better tent. Wait, did he not? Wait a minute. Hang on. Let's see what Hemant Mehta is saying here. I remember him talking about this. It's the same size, and we will build walls on the inside and insulate it, so we're just doing our best to fix the collateral damage of the sound for the community. That failed too. The sound complaints haven't gone away. The traffic around the compound has gotten worse, and Locke is currently facing multiple lawsuits. His neighbors are suing over the noise and water runoff concerns, while the county is suing him for violating local zoning laws. Right, he's not supposed to build on his compound there right now, because he was building something out and redirected the flow of water, and it ended up, instead of draining into the creek bed at the bottom of the hill there, it drained into his neighbor's yard. And when that happened and his neighbor started complaining about it and suing him and everything, he claimed that his neighbor, Larry, came onto his property, and closed up the drain on his side so that it would drain out improperly and he had something to complain about. I am not even joking. In short, the circus-like atmosphere has made life worse for everyone else in the community who doesn't want to deal with this BS. Locke keeps making matters worse because he's a selfish preacher who believes anything and everything is justified when it's done to promote his personal brand of mythology. Now his tent has been destroyed, though he likely has enough money to patch it back up, even without any donations. He says he'll be preaching again this weekend, somehow. Yep, that's the story. Greg Locke's tent has been destroyed. He kind of had it coming, and again, I don't know what he would accept as an act of God. What does God have to do to send a message? Destroy the whole damn church? Twice? What else? How else is this dude gonna learn? God does not want him preaching his ridiculous nonsense anymore. Again, I don't believe in any of this, but if I did, that's how I'd feel. Anyway, let me know what you think about it in the comments. This dude's absolutely ridiculous, and he will never learn. Iron Man 420, if there was ever a sign from God, Greg is getting the brunt of it. Yeah, I don't know what else, like, what needs to happen for him to accept that this is an act of God? You know, back in the day, churches used to be the tallest buildings in town because they're the wealthiest, right? Long and long ago. I mean, they still are, largely. Anyway, before people understood lightning or electricity or lightning rods, churches did not have lightning rods on the top of them. And what does lightning strike? The tallest thing in town, because it wants the shortest and easiest path to the ground, right? So the tallest church would almost certainly have drama going on in it. There's always drama happening in churches, and it's the worst in the richest and most populated churches. And all of the smaller churches around would look at them and say, wow, God struck their building as a sign that they're not doing what he wants. I mean, that was obviously ridiculous. It was because they didn't have lightning rods. But, you know, what happened to that? What happened to Greg Locke recognizing when nature just does not want him to have a church? I don't know how it gets clearer, man.